Hey guys, welcome back to Life in Racers Lane. This is episode 10. I'm Kat Haas and I'm your host today. Today we have a very special guest, Miss Madelyn Downing with the agriculture program. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Madelyn Downing, or Maddie Downing. I teach agribusiness here at UNOH, and I'm the content lead and director of the ag business program. I came from Darke County, Ohio, and grew up on a fruit and vegetable farm there. And, you know, I've always been very passionate about agriculture and the food industry as a whole.
Great. So let's get into this right away. Where did you go to college, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so I actually graduated from UNOH, so I am an alumni of the university. I went to school here for agribusiness and had a really great experience in the program. Was super close with my professor and got a lot of really great experience just being at UNOH. I was a student athlete, so got to play basketball and be a part of a team while I was here, lived on campus, and really enjoyed just the overall culture that UNOH has.
Yeah. So what about the student athlete life brought you to UNOH?
I think one of the biggest things for me, definitely that brought me to UNOH, was the program itself. So knowing that I could be an ag business, but also play sports. There's not a lot of universities offering agricultural business. And often you find that they're, the Ohio States of the world or Purdue's. And so you're not probably going to play sports there or as likely to. So I was really blessed to find a place that I could be a part of a team and, fit in on a team. It wasn't super taxing or super high commitment, but I could still be really involved with my program as well.
That's amazing. I'm a soccer player, so the whole student athlete basketball, it's really fun. What would you say you've noticed that is the biggest difference between graduation and now, or your graduation and now?
Wow. That's a tough question. I've seen a lot of change at UNOH. I came during COVID, so it was a unique time to be a college student in general. We've seen a lot of shift and a lot of growth in technology and how we do online classes. That has been a huge benefit for the university to be able to offer online classes that are well-equipped and can actually mirror your in-person classes. I feel that that's been a huge growth and a big difference from when I was at UNOH to now, and how we've made that adjustment.
How did you get into teaching here? You graduated. I assume many people wouldn't go back into teaching where they graduated.
Yeah, actually, it was definitely kind of out of my hands. It was something that was supposed to happen, really. I was pretty good friends with my professor. I knew him very well, and he was on the verge of retirement and had been talking to me about my ambitions to teach. I really was interested in teaching high school agriculture. But as he went through his retirement, he kind of put in a good word for me at the university, and they reached out and asked me to apply for the position. So actually, as I was still a student, I was applying to be a teacher in the ag business program.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a big adjustment for sure, a big life adjustment, but it was great. That's something that, I absolutely love UNOH for, is that you can build relationships like that. You can be at a small university and you can get a position, working at that university because of the relationship that I got to build while I was here. So having a small class size and getting that one-on-one instructor student relationship is really beneficial here.
Yeah, we are such a small campus, small communities. It's really interesting to see, as someone who grew up in the city, basically, I've always noticed life moves slow here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever felt like the way nothing's quick, you kind of take your time to just slow down, see the things, and it's really it's the difference for me.
Absolutely. And I can definitely see that. I actually came from the middle of nowhere where I grew up. So I actually came to UNOH and the city of Lima thinking, wow, I live in a city now. So it's kind of funny to hear the opposite experience. I think things do move slow in a good way here. It still has that small town community-like feel, which I think is what you're alluding to.
Mm.
Yeah, it's very comfortable and kind of you know people and you can stop and have a good conversation and no one's feeling like they're rushing you through that.
Right. Yeah. What vegetables did you grow? Like you said fruits and vegetables, and now I'm like wondering what did your family grow?
Yeah, actually my family's got some really cool history. They started selling apples in 1838. So our number one product is apples. We've got like 80 different varieties of apples, some that we've crossed and created our own varieties from on the farm. And then my parents raise all types of different things. So they've got a peach orchard and plums, and then they do all your summer vegetables, your sweet corn, melons, tomatoes, things of that sort. So they kind of have their hands in everything. They do apple cider, maple syrup, things of that sort.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, and it's a unique business style because you don't often see that direct-to-consumer food space as much as you see more of the retail space or store space. So they've always been that way, direct-to-consumer through farmers markets and things like that.
Right. And that's honestly incredible because you don't see a lot of farmers turning profits nowadays, especially. I would say that the business world has essentially made changes to the farming industry, to the agriculture industry, because we have, places like Walmart, places like Meijer. We have down south, we have Publix and Kroger.
Absolutely.
And things you don't see often. You don't see very many people who are like, let's go back and let's go buy like wholesale. Mm-hmm. Let's go do this. You have the Costco's of the world, but
sure.
You don't
have the same local foods desire that we used to have. And I think it's coming back around. So it's cool to see that trend kind of resurfacing as people are becoming more concerned with the food they eat and where it comes from and what that looks like.
No, TikTok is a big there's a big trend on TikTok going around where it's like home life, going back to your roots, going back to so many things. Homesteading. Knowing
how to prepare and create your own food and have your own food and not rely maybe on the stores or the government or whatever it may be to provide that for you, but finding those answers yourself. Yeah, it's a huge trend right now.
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I can't do sourdough. Sourdough is not my thing.
Sourdough is the gateway into homesteading, actually. That was kind of my gateway into getting into all the interesting homesteading things that are out and about.
No, I mean, I have celiac disease, so things are a little bit different. I'm fully gluten-free. I've been fully gluten-free since I was 4 or 5, maybe. Yeah. And so, my mom used to make bread at home because we didn't have any gluten-free things at stores. Sure. Like 10 years ago, I literally had a gluten-free Cheez-It today that came out a month ago because Cheez-Its have been around for months, for years.
Yeah.
But they've never made a gluten-free Cheez-It until now.
Well, it's great to see businesses, corporations starting to pay attention to the needs and the trends, the health factors that kind of lead to some of those needs. Yeah, absolutely.
Although, how do you start with sourdough?
You've got to create pretty much a living organism. Like
it's living?
It's pretty much living. So you create this starter, which is just this active fermented yeast, but you don't use yeast. You make it yourself pretty much. So you're fermenting water and wheat flour together, and it creates a fermentation process, which bubbles and creates an active yeast pretty much. And that's how the sourdough bread is then made. You use that active starter to go into it.
Oh, I didn't know I was eating anything living.
Well, the bacteria itself in the fermentation process is living, not the bread, I would say, but
if only. That'd be cool though. All right, guys, let's go into our first pit stop. This is the first Would You Rather.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to ask one to you, and then if you want to ask one to me, ask one.
Sure.
Anyone. All right, let's. Would you rather always have terrible Wi-Fi or terrible phone battery?
I would rather have terrible Well, I would say terrible Wi-Fi or like
Really?
service. I think that I like the opportunity to unplug, but I would still like to be able to take a picture of maybe what I'm doing. So
Wow.
I think terrible Wi-Fi is probably my option.
No, I know so many people, including myself, who would say terrible terrible phone battery. Like an issue I have is I always want to stay connected, not to people, but like I always want to stay like available and people reaching me involved. Yes.
Yeah. Understand that.
I think my phone usage is up to 6 hours now since coming back to college.
Understandable.
Yeah. All right. Let me see one of them.
Ooh, this is a good one. Would you rather be amazing at something useless or average at everything?
Okay.
That's a tough question.
Average at everything. I would rather be a jack of all trades, master of none, but always better than a master of one. And people forget the fact that there are full phrases of like things because, you have all the phrases like, oh gosh, this as in English, like I like English and syntax and things of that nature. So it's the phrases, it's like the blood is thicker than the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. And that's a full phrase, not like blood is thicker than water.
Sure.
Like that is, which is essentially alluding to like, found family and family's important.
Yeah.
And then obviously a jack of all trades is a master of none, but always better than a master of one. Meaning I would rather be average at everything than a master of one thing,
right?
Even whether it is useless or not. Like I think everyone needs to just have like interests, great, but also branching out into things.
Yeah, it's like you'd rather know a little about a lot than a lot about a little,
yes.
right? Yeah,
that's essentially what it is.
Absolutely, I like that. I agree with that. Kind of dabble in all the different different topics. You can definitely be more dynamic in a work environment or any environment really,
right,
by having the ability to kind of navigate and be more dynamic when things come at you.
It definitely helps in the workplace and being adaptable, being not just really good at one thing, because sometimes I also feel like specialization and this could apply to anything really. Like specialization, you don't want a kid to specialize in their sport too quickly. You don't want to like specialize a business you can specialize a business, but I think also in getting profit return, you always want to have like a little bit of everything available.
Yeah. That's a really good point, and it kind of segues into the idea of ag business. We see a lot of specialization in agricultural business, but as you mentioned, you kind of put all your eggs in one basket. Sometimes, you deal with really bad market crashes or weather vulnerabilities or tariff situations, which we're seeing a lot of. So it's unique, the specialization aspect when we're focused on being really good at one thing, how disposable is that one thing, or how replaceable is it? How can we be dynamic and have multiple offerings, whether it be a company offering multiple products or a individual offering multiple skills so they can be successful in their environment.
Yeah, and so going into our overall question, what is ag business?
Yeah. Agricultural business is the business behind the food and agricultural industry. So the production of all food, fiber, feed for livestock, some raw materials that go into different like oils and different gasolines that we use, fuel sources we use. So we're producing all those raw materials for the food and fiber industry is basically what agriculture is. And then the business side of it is really addressing the unique business aspects of agriculture. It's a very unique industry. It's a necessity. So we're producing something like food people eat every day. But it's looking at the unique economics, the unique marketing, the sales, and the business that goes into agriculture, as it is a unique industry with a lot of proponents in it.
I will say I have never really known what ag business is. I've got family in Texas, and in Texas, there's a lot of like cattle. I know multiple people who are a part of 4-H and raising longhorns, hunting, and it's a whole culture.
It is.
And so honestly, I've just never really considered the thought behind it. And I guess also the differences living in suburbia or cities, it's like you really don't know all that goes into the food that we eat, and even like what's behind all of the materials, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the idea of agriculture and gardening and raising your own food is a foundational human principle that we've kind of gotten away from. So not a lot of people raise their own food or garden or, you know, take the time to look further into that food space of, you know, what they're putting into their bodies. And I think that's a huge staple that connects people to kind of knowing a lot about themselves or about nature. And so it's a huge space that I'm passionate about teaching people about that don't have that connection to see, you know, why do we need agriculture? Why do we rely on our farmers? And why do we need to save our environment and pay attention to the land that we do have and not continue to develop it into other types of industry that we might need to save that land and keep it within agriculture? So it is a space that I think a lot more people could be educated upon. And I think some pushes towards urban agriculture and some non-traditional agriculture has been beneficial in kind of increasing that awareness and that education.
Yeah. And so, you know, going back to what you just said, what do you think should be the education aspect of it?
I think that in order to successfully connect people to where their food comes from, I think we need to rely on a local food system, a local food space, knowing what is regional and what can be grown within your area, and also looking for people that are growing things in your area and asking them questions. You know, growing up, we had my sisters and I went to the farmer's market with our parents since we were young children. So we always learned that interaction, that transaction with the customer. But really what they want to know is about you and about your life and, you know, how you raise things, how you go about the process. And when you can tell people those things, they create a connection to the ag industry. They can say, okay, I know who raised my food, or I can go back next week. I really enjoyed the food I got from them. I can trust that they're doing it the right way. I believe in the values of that farmer, that producer. Kind of the same way we want to support local businesses. It's that same idea. So I'm passionate about local foods, and I think that's a huge way to encourage that education. But I also think that it kind of goes hand in hand with nutrition and what we teach students and children when they're in the elementary and primary education age. They need some of that education on what local foods looks like or what nutrition looks like for their bodies.
So I guess I know my situation is a little bit different, but with everything that's, being taught in elementary school age, middle school age, we're heavily relying on, my plate, and there's a lot of, I will say like a lot on TikTok and Instagram and everything. It's heavy wellness planning and, emphasizing proteins, emphasizing not so much carbs anymore, which is a big shift.
Yeah.
I would say also because, again, going back to, what we also talked about earlier, the sourdough making and making your own bread, it's the big shift between like how things were years ago where, the beginning of processed foods.
Yeah, we're in a huge shift. And I think the biggest thing you can say, as the government, the USDA is creating things like My Plate, those are beneficial guidelines, but everyone should be asking their own questions.
Right.
Everyone should be looking for their own information. I think that we've gotten so used to as people of listening kind of what's given to us or what's told to us. But, there's more information out there that's not maybe at the front page matter. And we got to dig deeper. We've got to get more involved in what information we are consuming and what food we're consuming as well.
So now going into what's the UNOH Ag Business Program looking like?
Yeah, UNOH has a unique program. It's a very involved business program. So it really establishes the business principles, very much prioritizes teaching students about the economy, the markets, what the reason for a lot of the shifts or changes in industry and some of the goals or some of the shifts that they should be looking at moving forward. It's really giving them the ability to utilize their knowledge, whether it be as an entrepreneur in that agricultural space, going back to their family farm and implementing their business knowledge and making shifts in the business for their family, or finding a way to involve themselves in the ag industry. There's a lot of ag industry in the food space. I mean, you could go to any community, any town. In the middle of our campus here, we have Cargill, which is an ag business that, needs people purchasing grain, selling grain. So it's like we are directly funneled to all these ag businesses in the area. So the program really is aligning with industry expectations, current ag business, and then looking towards the future and shaping students to really align with what that looks like.
Yeah, that is really cool. I know the business world is evolving, and it's important for students to adapt and evolve with that as well. And I think it's important to note that that UNOH, we pride ourselves on allowing students all the hands-on work and, making your dream a reality, whether that is growing your family business, whether that is going into the ag business to make a difference.
Absolutely.
It's amazing that our small university can give you the hands-on experience to go into the workforce.
For sure. And you keep mentioning hands-on, and that's something we really pride ourselves with here at UNOH and all programs. And I know in agriculture, that's no exception. We really, we have a goal of getting our students on farms or in ag businesses and showing them different areas of the industry, bringing in guest speakers that are, working within the industry and have cutting edge knowledge. It's something we just really prioritize ourselves on, is making sure students have that opportunity. If they want it, they have that chance to interact with industry partnerships or community partnerships. We also team up with groups like Ohio Farm Bureau. We're really well involved with the Allen County Farm Bureau. And as a board member, I am able to take some of the benefits that Allen County Farm Bureau can offer and really extend them to my students. For example, tomorrow we're heading to Newark, Ohio for the Young Ag Professionals Conference. So 5 students and myself are getting to go with the Allen County Farm Bureau and represent and get to learn about a lot of the change and a lot of the things that they can be doing as young ag professionals.
That's amazing. So we do really pride ourselves on all of these things, the hands-on learning, we can apply hands-on learning to all of our degrees and set people up for the best career and the best industry.
Absolutely.
And what would you say that's part of how we compete with different programs? You mentioned Ohio State being a huge program, or Purdue. And how do we compare?
Yeah, good question. For sure, I think one of the biggest areas of competition that we can pride ourselves on is the fact that we have such a small teacher-to-student ratio. So the relationships are intentional, and students know that they can come to their instructors, their advisors, myself in the ag program, to ask questions about careers, look into internships or different job shadow opportunities. So they have that one-on-one accessibility if they want it. So that's something that makes it unique. Another thing I would say is the program is very ag involved from the start. So oftentimes when you go to a university, you're kind of taking a lot of filler classes your first few semesters or your first few classes to kind of get acquainted with the college lifestyle. And at UNOH, we really get students in the ag classroom at the beginning and really get them talking about and thinking about the ag industry.
What should students who are coming to UNOH know about the program?
Yeah, I would say something that students should be aware of is that we are always looking to grow and to stay with the trends. So the classes are shifting and keeping up with the current trends, and there's always going to be something new to learn, especially within the ag space. So ever-evolving industry, so it's an exciting opportunity to kind of stay ahead of that trend. Another thing that we offer through the ag program, and really to all students at UNOH, is the Ag Club, which is just an extracurricular club that was originally created to house the Lima Farmers Market. So a few years back, my ag business students and we met up with the Lima Area Chamber Foundation, the Chamber of Commerce, and we talked about what their farmers market currently looked like. It used to be downtown, and it just struggled to really get traction. They couldn't get vendors to attend readily, and they weren't seeing the customer attraction that they were hoping to. So we got involved, and we moved this farmers market here to campus, and it operates throughout the summer. At the end of May, we start it, and we go through the month of September over at Racer Station every Saturday morning. That's completely managed by myself and the students in the Ag Club. And then we really rely on like the Chamber of Commerce, and we've got some really great local partnerships. So we are sponsored by Mercy Health, a big nutrition incentive, get people to come and buy local. And then Nutrient Ag, the nitrogen plant here in Lima, is also a big supporter and sponsor of that. So we kind of have an actual hands-on business entity that students can come and be a part of when they join our ag business program. They can see that direct-to-consumer space, but also understand that management and that idea of operating a consumer retail space. So
No, it's
a very unique addition to our program for sure.
Oh, definitely. I've been here 2 years. I've seen the farmers market, but I never really knew, is it a part of it? And it's so cool to get that, again, hands-on experience and allow students to see what running something like a farmer's market looks like, what all of these businesses and farmers are operating out of. And it's really interesting, to me at least, to see things put into perspective as well.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, it really opens up the space to talk about local foods and to learn about them, because your local our local businesses that we have at the market, we have one rule pretty much when it comes to the farmers market, and everything that's brought there has to be homemade or homegrown locally. So we don't allow people to buy and resell to wholesale, which brings in a lot of confusion for your customers. We have direct current seasonal foods offered at our farmers market so people can learn about what's available to them in this area of Ohio at this time of year. So it's a really great educational piece too for the community.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I will say, I do notice sometimes in stores, when it's strawberry season or when it's the best time to eat the bananas, and just seeing that homegrown, homemade, it's not really taking the convenience that we so appreciate from places like Walmart, Meijer, but it's also you find a new appreciation for the people who are making all of these products.
Absolutely.
And who are doing all of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now it's time for our next pit stop. This is the hot seat.
Okay.
My personal favorite, actually. Love this one. Where you're just gonna get a topic and you either have to say a few sentences on it. It's not controversial topics, but it's fun.
Thought-provoking.
Yes, thought-provoking. All right. Oh, what's a habit you admire in others?
A habit that I admire in others. Goodness, these are hard ones. I have always admired when people go out of their way to talk to people. It's just a natural habit to talk to those that are around them, or smile or wave or engage. I think that's kind of a lost art in our society but something my mom always did. So I definitely learned that, and I got the case of gab from her to talk to people that I see randomly. So I admire that when others are in that habitual, space of just talking to people or meeting people, engaging with people where they go.
I know I love meeting people, but I also sometimes I can understand not talking. It's difficult to go up to someone and say hi.
Yeah,
it's surprisingly difficult. And whether that's anxiety or whatever, you think automatically how first impressions are
Sure.
really change. First impressions have really changed.
Yeah.
Over the years.
Something I always say is it used to be normal to catch people looking at you, and now it's like offensive to catch people looking at you or you looking at someone. So I think things like that, like shifts in just culture and what we perceive as maybe as people talking about us or having certain opinions, maybe just could be our own personal anxieties or thoughts about the situation as well. So yeah, definitely cultural shifts.
Yeah. All right. So while you're teaching here at UNOH, I heard that you are also getting your master's degree.
I am.
If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So I knew that I wanted to continue my education. I didn't really know what in. So I took a year of focusing on teaching and then thought it's time to get back to school. So I started looking up something that's always been a huge interest to me, and I think it's just because of the type of agriculture I was raised around, is the idea of sustainable ag. When you come from a business that's almost sustained themselves for 200 years, you feel that they might be doing something that is sustainable. So I kind of got a lot of passion from seeing how my family operated their farm and growing up in that space, and I started researching sustainable agriculture programs or areas that I would be interested in, and I came across Arizona State University, and they have a sustainable food systems program, which is so unique and honestly has been one of the best experiences. It has shaped me and my interests, but I've also had so many unique and amazing opportunities through their programs. So I've been able to go to Arizona for an immersive course where we spent a week looking at the food and farm space in Arizona. So we got to see such a unique style of agriculture. If you've only seen Ohio ag, you probably aren't used to the irrigation and the desert farming that is done in Arizona.
Yeah.
Another thing that we got to do, and something that the program really pairs up, is giving us the ability and the knowledge of what needs changed, but also how to be strategic and equipped to make changes on the policy side. So we also got to have a week course in Washington, D.C., where we got to meet with lobbyists and talk to representatives and really understand that space too. You know, how do you make change upstream and then downstream, working with people, the farmers, the food industry, and then working with those that are making those regulations or those putting money and putting funds in different areas or for different programs. So it's been a really dynamic program.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Policy is an interest, and it's always going to affect things.
Absolutely.
And the more people come to understand that, the more I think change we will see in our future, in our current situation even too. What we have is we have the ability to take this knowledge, but we also have to see that sometimes it does take time to change. You have to understand what's the best route to change things, because not everything is going to be able to be changed the same way, I think. And that's an important lesson, whether it's both in agriculture and sport and anything that you do, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, business is a changing space. Sustainability is a buzzword that's not just in agriculture. It's making its way through organizational change and leadership strategy, and all those topics are really associated with sustainability. You know, we need to have businesses that are considering their long-term environmental and social sustainability. You know, they can't ignore the demands of their customers or their environment. They can't ignore the demands of the communities that are asking for changes or for shifts, and even their employees who are starting to value different things. So sustainability is definitely something that is a changing scope in business too. You know, we're looking to create organizational change and behavioral change amongst employees so that they can overall lead to the change and the sustainability of that company as it kind of projects forward and moves forward through this changing environment that it exists in.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of people only think of sustainability as the TikTok trend, or you see sustainability.
Is there a TikTok trend about this? I'm not a TikToker, so.
I'm not either, but I do know like a lot of people consider sustainability like, let's go take a plate that's vegan, like a wheat plate, like sustainable to the environment, I guess.
Yeah, environmentally sustainable. Huge thing. The green companies and going green and paying attention to your plastics and microplastics and all those things that our customers are starting to ask questions about or want changes on, like you're mentioning there.
Yeah. I remember a couple years ago, everything Save the Turtles. Although I don't think anymore. It's a couple years ago. It's definitely been going back to the 2016 trend.
Seriously, we don't know what happened to the last 10 years of time, right?
No. But going back to the Save the Turtles or drinking or having a single reusable water bottle all the time.
I hate plastic water bottles. That is like my biggest pet peeve.
I mean, I use plastic water bottles, but it's more it's like I'm buying them like a large one, a gallon, like from the gas station. And then what I'll do is I'll just refill it with water because I don't grab any of my other water bottles. Sorry, Dad.
Understandable.
So, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I know a lot of people it's the convenience of things. And sometimes we have to take I think that we have to take convenience away.
I agree with you. A lot of issues that have come about, health-wise, food system-wise, environmentally, is this idea of convenience. And, we can stop and grab food at any time, or, all the food comes in its own packaging that's throwawayable. And so nothing is nobody's reusing their containers or saving, where they could. It's become too easy, and there's nothing, it's almost become more affordable too, to be convenient. So I think that's a big shift that needs to be made.
I remember in first grade, we did this. Oh gosh, you're gonna have to. You may have to like tell me the name of it. But we would take the scraps of our food and put it in a dirt box with worms
and create compost.
That thing. We had a compost bin, and my gifted class, we got all of our classes to like help us with, and I think that was the first time I actually like got immersed into a business where it was like the orange peels and the banana peels, and or like the extra vegetables that nobody ate, it would be thrown into this compost bin that we created. And I remember taking a little bit home for my parents, and they hated me for that.
It's so funny you brought that up, and something maybe people don't think about as much is just like when you learn that energy can never be created or destroyed, it always just shifts form. The same thing exists with nutrients and nutrition. So your food gets its nutrition from the plant it was grown on, which gets its nutrition from the soil. And the soil doesn't create its own nutrition. It has to be fed. And you feed it by putting stuff like your compost and your leftover nutrients that come from leftover foods back into the soil, which creates and puts that nutrition back in the soil. So it's kind of a living system, just the same. It needs that end of the cycle. Something has to always go back. That's kind of what's led to an ag industry that is reliant on fertilizer, so that we always are adding nutrition back to our soil so it can allow for proper plant growth.
I feel like next thing you're going to tell me is that soil is alive too.
It is actually. In like a 1 tablespoon of soil, there's like over 1 million living organisms, microorganisms, microalgae, bacteria. It all exists. And it's all a necessity too.
Yes. So soil is alive, sourdough is alive.
Absolutely.
What's alive next?
Your food should be alive. That's a thing. You should have living foods. You should have real foods going into your body. So it's a good thing.
Like yogurt. Mm-hmm. Didn't know yogurt was alive until I had a protein talk with my with a trainer. That was interesting to learn. And then probiotics and
probiotics and
gut health. Your gut is alive too.
Just the same as a soil. That is like the same thing as soil. So you got to have those probiotics, prebiotics, the organisms that exist. They help the soil break things down, just the same your body breaks things down. Yeah.
I'm learning so much today.
I love this topic.
Yeah.
So
we have so many conversations with so many different people, but it's let's get food into this. Let's get like sustainability into this. How can we be more sustainable as a country as a whole?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, where are you hoping to go with sustainability and your degree?
I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure that out because I personally have a lot of love for the Lima community, and I see a huge need for expanding nutrition and food education and involvement in the area. So that's something, community education when it comes to food and nutrition. Something else that is a long-term goal of mine is to move back and be the 8th generation on the family farm and to incorporate even more sustainability practices and things that I've learned to, increase that business model even further. So that's a long-term goal, but I think I'll always be an educator at heart. So whether it be in the UNOH classroom or working with the community, I feel that education will be a huge part of what I do regardless.
So with UNOH and being an educator, how do you think UNOH can do something, I guess, better to sustain or for sustainability? Would it be like, adding compost, adding whatever to the camp? What do you think would benefit the campus for sustainability?
I think something that everyone should stay tuned to. I'm hopefully able to incorporate a community campus garden space. Mm-hmm. But I think, putting food on campus, we need recycling. UNOH. We really need recycling at UNOH.
Get us recycling, please.
And I think that will be a big benefit for the campus. But I also think, having community gardens, campus garden space, it just creates a place for people to talk and to be, and then also to learn if they want to get involved with gardening. We also want to utilize that food that we produce to, give to students or to share with the community as we need. So there's some goals that we have with kind of increasing the sustainability and maybe the biodiversity on campus, like bringing in different types of natural and local plants that are not invasive and using them as our landscaping, using food as landscaping as well. So there's a lot of opportunity to create sustainability on the environmental front at UNOH.
But let's get recycling first.
Yeah. Big step number 1 is a recycling program here.
Dr. Evans, if you're listening, please. All right. And what do you predict is going to happen with the ag business program? What are you thinking about, just at this moment, like where do you want to go, whether it's the next year, 10 years?
I would like to see the program expand further into the sustainability space. I think that has become, it used to be like this out there topic in agriculture, and I think now it's become a very recognized, normalized topic. It's not as, if this happens, it's more so it will, and we need to plan for it. So I'd like to see how sustainability works its way throughout the program. And I also think that, we're going to really navigate with some of the trends that happen in the industry. So offering some of those different specializations that we talked about before within the industry, and just making sure that our students are really aligning with what the ag business industry looks like and the trends of that.
No, I think that's great. Honestly, I think people should get involved in the campus and, gardening. Great. Yeah.
I would love to add some more hands-on aspects of the program, whether that be through having on-campus greenhouses or a farm where we can really incorporate that part of it as well, but also really just bringing in that hands-on space. I think it'll increase the program's effectiveness, but also its attractiveness, and hopefully maybe we'll see a lot of growth with what that looks like. We're in a really affordable school offering pretty beneficial ag business knowledge. So I think a lot of students see the value in that and the types of relationships that are built within a university like UNOH.
Yeah, that's amazing. Any last words for our viewers? Anything else you have?
Get curious and ask questions. Learn more about where your food comes from. And if you don't know what agriculture is, take a look. You'd be surprised how much and how impactful it is in your life. So I think that's my last few words.
No, that's amazing.
I have a question.
Yes.
So what is a common question or questions that parents have for you in your program?
I think often parents want to know that their students are gaining value from coming here and not just extending their time. A lot of the time, students could work directly on the farm, but they see purpose and learning something that their parents never learned. So if their parents didn't go to college, maybe they didn't get the business principles, and their son or daughter can really excel them into the future by gaining some of those principles. So I think a lot of parents are really concerned with knowing, will my son or daughter know the ins and outs of how a business should be ran, and how can you offer them more than what other universities are offering? So they always want to know what your hands-on looks like. Are they going to have fun with it? Are they going to enjoy it? And ag business is so broad. I think that's something I should probably mention. It's such a broad space, covering from anything from fruit production, selling seed, or livestock. So we really want to make sure students that come to ag business can study the area of ag business they want. So everything is kind of shaped to your own interests when it comes to our programs, projects we do, things like that. You can really make it your own program by the classes you take, the projects or the areas of the industry that you really focus on within your projects and in your classes. And so that's something that parents really like, is that students can make it their own degree. They can build it their experiences and their hands-on activities to kind of guide them into what they want to do.
Well, that was it for episode 10. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Please go follow, like, and subscribe to our Instagram and TikTok. We are at Life in Racers Lane. We have all of our videos up on YouTube, and you can listen in on Spotify as well. Thanks. Bye.